Welcome to this new session on the topic of multiple dosing regimen. Uh, Myself, Khandekar Hassan Reza, will deal with the topic regarding multiple dosing regimen. I will try to discuss the topics in an easy format so that it will be helpful for you to understand. Let us first go inside the topic, that is the concept. The concept is a very important thing. We have to understand the firstly regarding the dosing regimen. We are saying of the multiple dosing regimen. So let us first understand what is a dosing regimen. Um, if we say of the dosing regimen, it is a manner in which a drug is taken based on, there are two important things you can see, that is dose size or the quantity, and the frequency or the dosing interval. The two important or the vital things that you have to remember is that any kind of dosing regimen requires the consideration of the quantity or the amount or the dose in which it is delivered to the systemic circulation, and the frequency or interval which comes for your multiple dosing regimen. Okay. So the concept of multiple dosing regimen, if we say the dosing regimen, this is broadly classified into two types. First one is the single dose regimen. Single dose regimen, as you can see, a single IV dose, which is given the diagram of a single IV dose over here. So you will be giving a drug, it will be showing its maximum bioavailability, and with the time course change there will be elimination of the drug out of the body, and it will go out of the body after your 7 to 8 half lives. So this is a single dose regimen which is mainly preferred for drugs which are being given for acute conditions or some special cases when you need the drug for a particular condition. Like for example, you can have analgesics, hypnotics, and antiemetics. These are the drugs which are mostly preferred for a single dose regimen. Next, regarding a multiple dose regimen, if you consider regarding a multiple dose regimen, uh, of course, you can say these are the drugs which are given for a chronic conditions, and you need to repeat the dose for a certain period of time, which may be for a month, it may be for a year, or it may be a lifetime. Examples for a multiple dose you can say is antibiotics and antidiabetics, cardiotonics, or the drugs which are being preferred for your cardiovascular diseases, and of course the hormones. Now first let us go for the difference between a single dose and a multiple dose. There is a specific difference between a single dose and a multiple dose that we will be discussing over here. So a single dose, as I told you, for acute treatment, and for multiple dose it is for the chronic treatment or the treatment for a long period of time. Secondly, you have this single dose. This is time dependent administration is not considered. You will be administering for a particular time. Suppose a person is going for travel, so you just took one tablet of suppose antiemetic tablet. He just took one tablet and he just went out in order to prevent his motion sickness. So this is a single dose. So he need not to think in the next dose of the antiemetic. But when you are going for a multiple dose, the time dependent administration should be considered. Next, less drug exposure to the body. Since one time you are giving the drug, after elimination and wash out it will be removed from the body. But more drug exposure to the body for the multiple dose, because you will be constantly giving a drug for a certain period of time. It may be period of time, I'm saying it may last throughout the life, as I told you. So automatically the drug will be having a good impact on the body. Single dose, as per FDA, I'm saying, used mainly for the bioequivalence study and is more sensitive and recommended for immediate release and modified release. So any kind of immediate release or modified release oral drug delivery, FDA has suggested the use of single dose study for bioequivalence. Multiple dose study can also be used or is also recommended under a specific condition where your elimination may turn out to be a zero order, or where your elimination can reach saturation, or it can deviate from first order. So in those cases you can go for multiple dosing studies. Specifically, multiple dosing studies preferred for the drugs which are given for the multiple time. So in that case, in either case, single dose is preferred, but in the specifically for the drugs which are having an saturable elimination process, we prefer multiple dosing. Okay, pivotal factor for multiple dosing. Now you have to remember the concept of multiple dosing. In what are the factors which govern the multiple dosing in our body? Firstly is the dose size. Now when we are saying of the dose size, we have to remember one thing called as fluctuation. The dose size depends on the fluctuation. So fluctuation is nothing but the ratio of the steady state maximum concentration to the steady state minimum concentration. I will say what is the steady state maximum minimum. So how it impacts on the body? You are having a higher dose. So if your dose, you should remember this concept very clearly. Higher is the dose. So you give a more dose of the drug, automatically there is a higher difference between the maximum and the minimum values. So the fluctuation increases. As the fluctuation increases, automatically it crosses the maximum safe concentration, resulting in toxicity. I can show you. So this is the graph. So if you consider this multiple dosing, so this peak is called as the steady state maximum concentration, and this is called as the minimum concentration. So generally, if you consider this steady state maximum minimum concentration, if your this range is higher, you can see here it is higher, so that's what the difference, it will be higher, the fluctuation ratio value will increase. When you go down, that is very low dose, automatically the difference of the steady state maximum concentration and the steady state concentration minimum reduces. So as it reduces, automatically the ratio value declines, and as it declines, you can see it is coming beyond the MEC, or minimum effective concentration. So automatically the therapy will also get reduced. Thus an optimum, so what I'm saying, there should be an optimum value of what you call the dose which is required for an optimum therapy. So you should remember this. The next thing is dose frequency. Automatically, so one is the size, quantity, another is the interval. Dose frequency means in what interval are you going to give the dose. In the first case, I am considering the frequency to be fixed. In the next case, I am considering the frequency to be changing, but dose to be fixed. So generally we consider this as most of the factors. So tau is represented as your dose frequency, and it is being correlated with the half-life of the drug. So as for the dosing, it is the fluctuation which governs the dose size influence. In the same way, dose frequency is being influenced by the half-life. If your dose frequency or the dosing time is less than the half-life, it reduces the fluctuation. As it reduces the fluctuation, it increases the toxicity. Okay. In the other way, if the tau value is less than, so this is not, I think this is wrong, this should be greater than T half. So it increases the fluctuation and declines the therapy. And when tau value equals to T half, so this is what you are having an optimum dose therapy. So something, a graph like this will be seen. We will be discussing this further in the next graph, in the next discussion points. So we are going for something called as a dose accumulation. So my discussion totally will be based on one compartment IV bolus unchanged drug in the plasma, and how, if you are giving IV bolus as a multiple dose, what is the impact. So this we are going to study in our discussion. When we are discussing this, automatically the next thing which comes to our mind is the accumulation. What is an accumulation? Accumulation means a stepwise, whatever the drug you are giving, whatever drug is going out, so in minus out gives you how much drug is remaining. So how much drug is remaining is your accumulation. That's a simple thing. So accumulation is simply a reflection of how much drug is being added to the body relative to how much being eliminated from the body during a definite time period. Ratio can be controlled, so generally it's considered be in and out ratio can be controlled by changing the dosing frequency. So as you change the dosing frequency, automatically it impacts the drug accumulation. Whether the drug will be accumulated greater or it will be accumulated less, that is a factor to be considered. So generally in the case we are discussing, as a first case we are discussing regarding IV bolus dose when your dosing interval equals to the half-life of the drug. Under this condition, a steady state concentration will be achieved. So you will be able to achieve a steady state concentration where it will be almost going as a parallel to each other. So you will be able to achieve that dose, that concentration after 7 to 8 half-lives, or after 78 what you can say dosing, we can be able to reach that particular steady state concentration. In this case, the fluctuation, if you say that is the steady state max my steady state mini equals to 2, and here what we are going, how we are determining the drug accumulation. We are determining the drug accumulation by a ratio called as the accumulation index. In an accumulation index is nothing but it is the ratio of the steady state maximum concentration to the initial maximum drug concentration, that is your dose. If you say C0 is your dose concentration, so C0 is the initial concentration, so that should be at the bottom, and at the top you will be having the steady state maximum concentration. If you just make a ratio of it, whatever you get is the accumulation index. That means what is your final concentration, what was your starting concentration. The ratio between the final concentration and the starting concentration gives you the accumulation index. So I will like to explain it little bit technically. So here is my rubrics. So I will take the help of the rubrics. I have to go for the rubrics. Okay. So think of my dose is 100%. My dose is 100%. And I'm giving, that is my dosing interval equals to half-life. So here half-life means this is being designed in such a way that I can say that 0.5, 50%, isn't it? The 50% of the drug will be available. So that is nothing but 0.5. for the giving dose interval as per half-life, 0.5 will be available to the systemic circulation. So in this case, what we are finding, so I'm just giving it enter over here. You can see that these are the number of half-lives. So in the first half-life we have initially 100, and next we are reaching the first half-life, that is 50. This is getting added up by the next dose. So this is the next dose which we are giving, second dose. So second dose it is achieving 150, and as per that, the after 50% of its elimination we are having 75. So like this it is going down, you can see. So after 8, or rather I can say from 7 to 8, you can see that it is achieving this bottom one, that is a minimum, you can say what you call it, the minimum dose. So minimum dose concentration what is being achieved, you can see around 99, and the maximum dose which is achieved around 199, that is near to 200. So you can see that the steady state, so it has achieved a steady state after 7 to 8 half-lives. So if you are giving an IV dose, I just wanted to prove that after 7 to 8 half-lives, it is able to achieve a steady state concentration. The red color showing the maximum concentration, and the green color showing the minimum concentration. So you can see that if you find a ratio of the steady state maximum concentration and the minimum concentration, you can see the ratio is coming as a 2, just now what I said. Now suppose I reduce my T half. I am reducing the half-life, I am giving a dose less than the half-life. So when you are giving a dose less than the half-life, so the amount of the drug will be something more than the previous one, isn't it? So suppose I am giving such that 25% of the drug is getting eliminated. Rather than 50%, I am considering 25% of the drug is getting eliminated. So in that case, how much amount will be there? So around 75% or 0.75 will be the amount of the drug which is present in the systemic circulation. So in this case, if we just want to observe, we can see that it is causing, it is increasing the dose, and it is not able to maintain a steady state concentration, rather it is becoming toxic. Same way, if we just increase the T half, if we just take a dose or dose interval which is greater than T half, so I took it suppose 75, so 75% of the drug will be eliminated out. Suppose we are considering that time period where your 75% of the drug will be eliminated. So 25% will be there in the body, so 0.25. If you consider this, you can find that we are achieving somewhat a steady state right from your third or fourth, but this value will be subtherapeutic. I think in the 3 or 4 slides before I have shown you a graph where you have seen that when you are decreasing the T value less than that of your half-life, automatically it is causing an impact on the steady state concentration of the drug. So this is the thing you have to remember. So what we can see, I'll just try to brief it off in the next slide. So I think I have just shown you. I'm just going to the slide once more. So this is what I wanted to show. The T is less than the T half that I showed. So what is happening? You can see there is a dose dumping happening. In the other case, when T value, the tau value is greater than the T half, you can see the case where it is showing a subtherapeutic effect. Now, as per the consideration of IV bolus, if you see after calculations, we can say that the Cn max, that is after n number of dose, Cn max, the maximum concentration value, will be represented as C naught in 1 minus e to the power minus n k tau by 1 minus e to the power minus k tau. So this will be the maximum value and this will be the minimum value. So if we just consider that n equals to infinity, that is actually we are considering a value where n equals to infinity. So the Cn max, since you are putting the value of n as infinity, so minus infinity, it becomes 0, and this value becomes as C naught 1 by the same thing 1 minus e to the power minus k tau. So this C infinity is nothing but your steady state concentration. So you are getting the steady state concentration value. Now if you consider the steady state concentration value, so it is nothing but C0 1 by 1 minus e to the power minus k tau. Now let us calculate the accumulation index value. So I told you accumulation index value is the ratio of steady state maximum concentration by the initial concentration. So you know initial concentration is C naught, and you know what is the steady state maximum concentration. This is the value. So finally you will be getting this one. So C naught will get cutted off, and whatever you get is 1 by 1 minus e to the power minus k tau. So this is the accumulation index value for IV bolus. Please remember this derivation. Now fluctuation, as I told you, it is the ratio of maximum and the minimum for a particular data. So if Cn max and Cn mini, we have both the values. So if we want to determine the fluctuation value, just divide this value by this value. So you know that this bigger part is getting cancelled off. So what is pending over here is e to the power minus ket. So it is at the bottom, when minus ket is going up and is becoming e to the power k tau. Okay, so this is the fluctuation value for IV bolus, considering n equals your tau equals to half-life of the drug, or tau equals to T half. So when tau equals to T half, so what will be the value? So it's nothing but, it's very easy, you can determine from here. So when tau equals to T half, so T half is nothing but 0.693 by Ke. So Ke will get cancelled off. So whatever your value having, e to the power 0.693, so that equals to 2. You can calculate, the value will be 2. On the other hand, if you just try to determine, that's what I said you, the value of fluctuation, it will be 2. Whereas for the accumulation index value will also be 2. As you can see, the same thing I will do it over here. That is e to the power minus ket into this tau equals to T half. So 0.693 by Ke. So Ke cancelled off. So whatever you are having is minus 0.693, that is 0.5. So 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5. 1 by 0.5 is nothing but 2. So you can see the fluctuation as well as the accumulation index value will be same for the condition when your dosing interval will be similar to half-life. So you can further study for the condition less than half-life or greater than half-life, you can get the values. So these are the pharmacokinetic aspects which you have to remember. I hope so it is clear. You have to remember what is fluctuation ratio, you have to remember what is accumulation index and how you are deriving the various equations regarding accumulation index, and of course you also have to determine the conditions which are very important, as I told you, that is the dosing interval and that is a dose frequency, and another is the dose itself, are the factors which governs the total process of multiple dosing regimen.